What's poppin', mangoes? It's your boy Black Ginger back with another episode, and today's video is taking us back to Pi right after last night's trip. Happy New Year's to everybody. I hope 2021 treats you all way better than 2020 did, because last year was just very disrespectful. Now let's jump back into a year where things were a little bit easier. 2019.
Oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Get fired up. I woke up today still feeling the effects of last night's party, so I really just wanted to stay in and process my trip from last night. And luckily for me, it rained all day, so I was able to just watch Netflix and just journal. But sadly for literally everybody else in Thailand, it was actually a monsoon that brought with it some of the worst rain that Thailand has seen in years. It rained so hard that the bridge I walked across to get to my hostel actually got swept away by the river. And a lot of the other hostels that were by the river actually got flooded and had to be evacuated. So my hostel on top of the hill had a few new guests tonight. I was peer pressured to go to the bars tonight, so that's my excuse for going to party right after a monsoon. I met one of the coolest people in the world today. His name was Julian from Germany, and he was just a really nice guy. We ended up going out to the bars together with some other people from my hostel, and I managed to convince him after a long time of begging him to do it. I convinced him to put his cigarette out in my arm for no good reason. I guess I just wanted to have a scar to remember the parties from my trip. I couldn't afford a tattoo, so this was the next best thing. So after I convinced him to put the cigarette out in my arm, he felt really bad, but I mean, I didn't feel anything. I was super drunk. I went swimming this morning, and while I was recording this shot, I think the humidity from the air messed with my camera, and it stopped it from working for the next few days, so I wasn't really able to record as much as I really wanted to while I was in Pi. I headed out to the Morpeng waterfall with some people that I met from my hostel, and we discovered that they had some really amazing natural water slides, and we just enjoyed that for the afternoon. The Circus hostel also had this thing called a slackline, which is similar to a tightrope in a sense, but I've never seen one before, so I spent the last day and a half practicing on it, trying to get across, and I was really proud of myself when I finally got across, especially because I had people who were there for over a week, and they said that they were barely even able to get halfway across the slackline in that time, so it made me feel pretty good. Then tonight we went bar hopping again, and I may or may not have spent $10 on some Molly. For the record, I've never even seen Molly in my entire life, but I enjoyed my company, I trusted the people I was with, and I really wanted to try something new tonight. It didn't really make me feel any different, so I don't really think I got high off of it, but I didn't let that ruin my night because I got lots of free drinks yet again. Every time I say that in a video, it makes me realize how amazing of a time I had last summer, because literally I found new friends and family everywhere I went. The night was really fun. At one point, I remember I ended up at this one bar, and the tables were all lit by candlelight, so I decided to start pouring hot wax onto my arms and my hands, and it felt really nice. But then I decided to go around the bar and offer hot wax to all the other people there. And picture this, I'm 20. I look like a freaking kid at this point. And everyone else around me, they're adults, basically. I think I'm the youngest person at the bars every single time I go out. So they're like, why is this random kid going around and offering hot wax to us? So I offered it to them, and most of them were they're giving me weird looks. I can't blame them, but they were giving me weird looks, and they were like, no, man, I'm sorry, that's just for you. We don't want to try that. But I was like, listen to me. And then I convinced them. I managed to convince most of the people to let me pour hot wax onto their bodies. And I think everybody that I poured it onto, they ended up saying, hey, that felt pretty good, thank you. I don't know if that's a flex or not, but I just wanted to add that to the story. Before the night ended, I headed to a 7-Eleven to get a Toasty. And if you don't know what a Toasty is, let me tell you, a Toasty is magic. A Toasty is a grilled cheese sandwich with ham in the middle, and if you give it to them, they'll heat it up for you right behind the counter. They got a panini pressed in there, and they'll heat it up for you. It only costs $1, and it is literally the only thing that you are going to want after a drunken night in Thailand. I promise you that. I didn't discover the Toasty until Pi, actually, so when I got outside the 7-Eleven tonight and I saw 7 people eating Toasties outside on the street, I got a little excited. I was like, hey, everybody's eating Toasties. Let's freaking go, bro. I don't really know what to tell you. They're magical, bro. You eat a grilled cheese sandwich with ham, nice and warm for you at the end of the night for $1. For $5, you get 5 sandwiches, bro. That's amazing, bro. I don't know. It got me excited, bro. That's all I want to say. If you go to Thailand, please stop at 7-Eleven and please try a Toasty for my sake. And just let me know what you guys think. I headed out today with some new friends to try and find the beautiful Grand Canyon of Pie. But we got a little lost along the way, and we ended up at the Pie land split instead. It was a little underwhelming, to say the least. Before we could leave, though, a rainstorm came in and trapped us underneath the pavilion with some stray dogs for a while. I went back to the bars tonight because I don't really know how to have fun at nighttime unless I'm partying. I guess we could play hide and seek, but Anyway, I went to the bars tonight, and I had a really great night until I eventually had my heart broken by this beautiful Israeli girl who I thought I was vibing with for the last few days. Apparently not. So I left the bars early tonight. I was already dealing with a lot of stress from traveling and all the money I've been wasting. And before this trip, I was already dealing with a lot of internalized depression and anxiety. And I'll be honest, this trip, it really helped me learn how to love myself again. But there was always constant reminders that I needed to stay in my place and only do what I was supposed to do. And this was one of those reminders. It was one of my breaking points. There were several breaking points on my trip that made me just want to go home, pack it up, call it quits. This was definitely one of them. So I left the bars early tonight, and halfway back to my hostel, I see this break in the guardrails. So I sit down in between the metal, and I'm staring down at this really steep hill. I'm not going to get into what was going through my mind at the time. That's not really too important. But I'm staring down at this steep hill, and bad things are going through my head. And I was kind of like stuck. I wasn't sure what to do, so I just blacked out, and I fell asleep on the side of the road. So I wake up to this girl shaking me on my shoulder. Her name was Sia from Switzerland. And before I could even figure out what was going on, she started feeding me chicken tenders and water. And she was trying to help me up and talk to me and figure out what was wrong with me. And I just really did not want to leave that hill. Like, I was in a bad spot tonight. And luckily for her, some random Thai guy on a moped, he ends up driving by and he stops and he's like, "Hey, what's going on? Are you guys okay? Do you need help?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm trying to get back to my hostel with my friend. Can you help us out?" So this random guy, he ends up giving us a ride back to the hostel, and it honestly saved me probably a 10-minute drunken walk. I went straight to bed as soon as I got back because I didn't want to do anything else dumb tonight, but I think that's a good place to end today's episode. Thank you all for watching today. Thank you all for liking and subscribing. Comment down below your favorite character from Spongebob. For me, it's got to be Larry the Lobster because I always thought he was pretty cool and pretty confident, and I think I always wanted to be like him somewhere deep down. Not the lobster, but, living like Larry.
Living like Larry.
But anyway, guys, live forward, learn backwards. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.